Hey there, fellow knowledge seeker. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we're diving into some fascinating notes on potential and customer segments.
Oh, this is good stuff.
It really is. And especially interesting is this whole ally with or create concept, kind of like choosing your adventure. But instead of a fantasy world, we're thinking about building a business or going after what really drives us.
And what's interesting here is how those connect, like building a business and figuring out what makes you tick. They both involve self-awareness.
Right, totally. So it seems like this choice between allying and creating really sets the stage for everything else. What really jumped out at me, though, is this idea that way more people go the allying route instead of creating.
Hmm.
Why do you think that is?
Makes you wonder, right?
It really does.
I mean, it's not about one path being better than the other. The notes actually point to our social structures as a possible reason for this tendency to ally. We're kind of encouraged to specialize within existing fields.
Right, climb that ladder.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Societies need that kind of specialization and collaboration to thrive. But still, you can't help but wonder what we might be missing out on by not encouraging more of a creator mindset.
Exactly. So then, what are the pros and cons of each? Say someone's listening right now and thinking, hold on, am I an ally or a creator? Which path is right for me? How would they even begin to figure that out?
Well, it all comes down to self-awareness. The source material suggests that creators often have a higher tolerance for risk and uncertainty.
Which makes sense. If you're creating something new, there's no blueprint.
Exactly. They're driven by a vision, even if the path forward is unclear. They might even define their target audience as they go along, shaping the need itself.
While someone who thrives in structured environments, someone who likes contributing to a larger vision without necessarily being the one calling all the shots, they might be more drawn to allying, right?
Precisely.
So using the business example, someone who's all about creating might be the one to launch a startup that totally disrupts an industry.
While someone who's more about allying might join an established company and just really excel at improving a specific department or a process.
And both paths can lead to incredible outcomes.
Absolutely. It all depends on your individual approach and motivations.
It's like we've each gave this internal compass, right? Pointing us towards either allying or creating. And figuring that out can be huge. But then you've got this whole other concept, vision. You've circled it like 5 times in these notes.
It's funny you should say that because vision really is the bridge between those two modes.
Oh, interesting.
The notes really emphasize needing a clearly defined vision, especially for creators. It's like their North Star.
Yeah.
Helps them navigate all the uncertainty, stay true to their purpose.
And you even highlighted this quote, knowing your vision before you perfectly understand your customer. But isn't that a little backwards? Wouldn't you want to figure out who you're serving first?
Right. It's like the chicken or the egg, which comes first.
Exactly.
And your notes actually touch on both sides of that.
Yeah.
Like if you're creating something totally new,
It'd be helpful to know who you're creating it for.
for sure. Especially if you're trying to shake things up in an existing market, right?
Definitely.
But here's the thing. The source material brings up an interesting point. For people who are just starting out, focusing on vision first can be really powerful.
Because it's about staying true to your own why, even if you're not sure about the how or the who just yet.
You nailed it. It's all about having that internal compass calibrated to something deeply personal, something that truly excites you, motivates you. That drive can be a huge asset when you're facing challenges, which, let's be real, you will.
It's like you can have the best map in the world, but if your compass is broken.
You're going to get lost.
Exactly.
But when you lead with a vision that's really compelling, you're way more likely to attract people who resonate with that, people who want to be a part of something bigger.
Oh, totally. It's like people can spot passion a mile away. It's magnetic. But what about the alliers? Where does vision come in for them?
It's just as important, but in a different way. For alliers, it's less about setting the direction and more about figuring out which visions they really connect with, which leaders, which missions really align with their own values.
So both creators and alliers need a vision. It's just that the source of that vision might be different.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting when you think back to your notes on potential customers. See, understanding your own allying or creating style, plus having a clear vision, well, that can tell you a lot about who your ideal customer might be.
Oh, I see what you mean. So if you're a creator with a vision that's totally disruptive, you might be looking for those early adopters, the ones who are ready for something totally new.
Yep. Well, someone who's more about allying might focus on really understanding the needs of their company's existing customers. It's all about finding that sweet spot between your vision, your approach, and who you're hoping to reach.
This is all making so much sense now. It's like once you understand the allying versus creating thing, and then you
Right.
factor in vision, it's like you've got this whole new framework for approaching, well, everything. But there's one more piece of this puzzle I really want to dig into: motivation. You've got it highlighted like crazy in these notes.
Well, it's important. It's like the engine that drives us forward,
Right.
especially when it comes to reaching our full potential.
Totally. But sometimes it's hard to keep that momentum going, especially when things get tough.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where understanding the different types of motivation can really come in handy.
So, like intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Exactly.
So, intrinsic, that's the fire from within, right? Driven by passion or a sense of purpose.
Right.
And then extrinsic, that's more about external validation, like chasing recognition or a bigger paycheck.
Got it. And while both types of motivation definitely have their place, it seems like the source material really emphasizes those deeper motivators, the intrinsic ones.
It's like, think about why you do the things you do. Are you forcing yourself to do them because you should? Or are you doing them because they bring you genuine joy and fulfillment?
And that ties right back to our conversation about allying and creating. If you're driven by this burning desire to put something new out into the world.
That fire is going to keep you going even when things get tough.
Exactly. And the same goes for allying. If you find a vision or mission that truly speaks to your core values,
It's not just a job anymore.
it becomes a calling.
So, how can someone even begin to figure out what truly motivates them at that deeper level?
The notes suggest asking yourself some tough questions. What are you naturally drawn to, even when no one's watching? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
It's like holding up a mirror, right? Getting real with yourself.
Exactly.
And once you have a better understanding of what those intrinsic motivators are, then you can start making choices that are aligned with them.
Whether that's going after a new career, or maybe joining a movement you really believe in, or just being more mindful about how you spend your time and energy, it all comes back to making conscious choices that align with what truly motivates you.
So it's not just about choosing to ally or create. And it's not just about having a vision. It's about understanding what drives you and then using that knowledge to unlock your full potential.
Well said.
So, to our amazing listeners, thanks for sticking with us on this deep dive. It's been quite a journey ride. We've explored some big ideas today, but remember, the real magic happens when you take these ideas and apply them to your own life. Keep those conversations going, and we'll be back next time with a fresh perspective on another topic that matters. Until then, keep exploring.